Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Battery Day 2020. My name is Simon Engelke, and I'm the founder and chair of Battery Associates. And I'm extremely excited for you to join us today. Wow, what a day it has been. You might have been following the news. You might have been watching the announcements last night from Tesla and Elon Musk and his amazing team. And you might have been wondering, what does this all mean? What does this mean for me as an industry, as a person, as an individual? How this is going to affect my life from professional as well as on personal level? This is something we want to address today. And beyond that, we really want to have a deep dive in some of these topics which have been mentioned yesterday. And these topics are mobility, stationary, recycling, and coding. And I don't want to do this all by myself, because I don't have to, because you have really blessing us with signing up to this event. And not just a few, we're over 700 people who confirmed on LinkedIn. And I'm so extremely grateful for you to come to this that short notice. Because one thing I want to say is we actually only really started thinking about this about 2 weeks ago. And 1 week ago, we only started really planning this event. So one word of caution, if there's anything a bit tricky today, I really hope you grace us with your patience and be friendly to the staff, because our people have been working very, very hard to put this up in this short notice to hopefully bring us together as a battery community and to really understand and have like a vision for the future where batteries can go. And I want to start off now, just talk a little bit about what has been going on yesterday, and then I'm going to introduce you to Battery Associates. So yesterday was so fascinating, or last night, or depending on where you are, maybe in the afternoon, because it wasn't just looking at one aspect of a battery. No, it was really trying to break it down in all the individual components, something we often forget to do. Because often we as battery experts and scientists and engineers and business people, we only look at our own niche and own aspect. And we sometimes forget the bigger picture. And what Tesla has really been doing here is to really try to address it from every aspect. They started off really at the cell level to redesign the cell itself with a tabless design. And we can see here, this is really something which can really drastically increase energy, about 5 times the power as well as the range. And this is just one component. So we start off with the cell, but they go further. They even go in the cell, something many people are scared to do, because we know chemistry and these kind of things can be very challenging. If you are in the chemistry industry, you probably know what I talk about. And they're also going to go to something people, at least I know when I did my PhD, I've been quite worried about, and that's silicon. Because silicon, even though it's super abundable and cheap and it's everywhere and has incredible capacity, on the other hand, it's a really tricky material to work with because it expands so much. So what Tesla has been doing, they've been really talking about the new coating they're going to use to kind of protect the silicon for this breakage and to make it stable for the long miles we need. They also didn't just look at the anode, the silicon I just mentioned, they also went to the cathode itself. And what I found quite fascinating here is that they wouldn't just look at, of course, improving the chemistry here again. I mean, we know that cobalt is one of these materials we want to get rid of from the cells as much as possible for multiple reasons. One reason being cost, but also another reason being the environments and like the ways these materials are mined today, and very lot of artificial mining in the Congo. So there's this really big drive in the community, and I think many of you are probably aware of the reduction of cobalt, but they didn't just look at the material itself. They also really thought about how can we actually streamline the production itself. And that's where we really start with the mining and think about, if we get this material, let's say in the Nevada desert or wherever we are on this planet, something I'm really excited for, we actually have people from most continents today and from many, many countries, too many to count. And what can we do about this? How can we localize our production reducing the distance our materials have to travel, and also our final products, really reducing these kind of distances and reducing the carbon emissions we produce by producing these new materials and products. And here, yeah, I mean, I think you might have seen it. It was just really fascinating to see how many steps they're trying to cut out of this production, from the materials, from the mining, raw material to the final product. And then, yeah, it goes on to the cell factory. So now we actually take our materials and we put them in the cells. So we like coat them and our current collectors, etc. And here also was again about thinking really about how can we optimize these processes? How can we speed them up? Because one thing probably many people are aware of, this is, you need some massive machinery for producing all of these cells. And they have been talking about something called dry coating, something where we don't use solvents, which has multiple advantages. Again, one of them being we don't need solvents, which on the one hand are quite toxic and expensive, and also take a long time to dry. And what we can do really here is to really shorten like the machinery again and reduce the footprint of our production facilities. Something which is amazing, right? If we want to really localize production, it's good if we can reduce the footprint of our factories. And then, yeah, I thought we were coming to like the final step, which is another kind of really exciting thought. What to actually do with these cells? Are they cargo, as it has been described with the fuel for the airplanes, where there has been cargo, there's been like fuel tanks in the wings, and then later on people thought, why not just put the fuel on the wings directly, so make the wings a tank? And similar here, they really think about how can we use these cells, these really big cells now we're producing much bigger than before, and really make them an element of the car, not just a cargo, something we drive around, but a real component, because that again reduces the amount of other materials we need, which then also reduces the weight again and the cost. So really think about how can we really reduce the cost of our batteries overall. And that's kind of where this kind of thing comes together, and that's cost. And I don't know about you, but I was really amazed when the numbers came out, because they want to reduce the costs per kilowatt hour by 50%. And I mean, if you have seen the curves before, what people have been predicting of the cost to be, this has been more about like, 100 kilowatt hours. That's something people have been thinking we want to reach. And that's kind of where it seemed like that's kind of a really exciting number. But Tesla said, no, we don't want that. We want to go 50%, so about 50 kilowatt hours, $50 per kilowatt hour, which opens up so many more things. I mean, if you think about this, has been over $1,000 about 10 years ago. And what has happened since? Where do batteries are going to be used today? We have them all around us already today, but what's going to happen now once they actually only are half the cost? And one thing, of course, they want to do is they want to put them in the cars, and they want to make them super affordable, at least much more affordable than people ever thought maybe electric cars going to be. The price point there for mentioning in the next 3 years would be about $25,000, which is still a decent amount of money. But if you think about that, actually electric cars are much, much cheaper to run. That's super fascinating, because we don't need the fuel. Like electricity is almost free. If you have your own solar, essentially you make it free over time. And just this kind of package, and like also, if you look at an electric car, it has much less components, so actually things which can go wrong. You need much less maintenance. So the overall running cost of an electric car already today is often cheaper than a fossil fuel car. But now reducing these costs even further, that's what they said, that's going to be the ICE killer. And that opens up many questions: where the industry is going, how are we going to support the industry to move in the right direction, to really make it an inclusive change where people are going to retrain, people are going to find new exciting jobs, new things to do. And also one last thing is, to make this happen, we're going to need a lot of production. And we have seen, as I'm calling you, or like I'm talking right now from Europe, from Munich in Germany, and we have seen what has been going on. So many new players entering the market, people scaling up, people relocating, people going on crazy hiring sprees. So this is super exciting. It's an incredible opportunity for anybody who wants to find a new, rewarding, future-thinking career. But also it's a really exciting thing because it's going to create lots of jobs and opportunities and new applications. One application I'm personally, for example, really excited for are electric airplanes, something which has been yesterday mentioned again, going to be in reach, at least on smaller scale, if we talk about 400, if you reduce the density even more, and it's something we can reach definitely in our time. Okay, so now we're going to go, after we kind of spoke a little bit about what has been said yesterday, I want to talk a little bit about what Battery Associates actually is, because you might have been wondering, you might not have heard about it before, and I don't blame you, because it wasn't even in existence about 2 months ago. So it's very new, it's fast moving, and I want to take you for this journey. So join me, please. Battery Associates has 3 different components. It has a networking component, you got a consultancy, and recruiting. And you might wonder, if you start something off, why would you do all 3? That sounds like a lot of work, and it is. But at the same time, we really think there are going to be a lot of synergies between the 3. And I don't want to bore you too much, so I really hope you are not bored. If you are, you can check out maybe some other sessions. You can do some networking already or check out the booth. But I really hope you're going to stay on with me, because I think personally it's quite exciting, and I think my team really agrees too. Let's start with the networking. It's actually really exciting. We just put on the form live on battery.associates to register, to apply to become a member. And already now we got quite a few submissions from you guys. So well done you to figure this out. And the membership itself for an individual is free and always going to be free. And that's something I really care about, because what I want it to be is that it's a platform, it's a network of the CEOs of the biggest companies next to people like small startups who maybe started off 2 weeks ago or maybe even 2 months ago. And they just, are on one platform and they can support each other. But because you might wonder, okay, how this is going to work, because maybe this startup has a lot of questions for some of these CEOs, it's going to be more like a one-sided network where we really, as Battery Associates, our team really tries to curate these really meaningful introductions. So if you might come to us and say, we need this one thing and we're super excited about this, we're going to think hard to really help you to find this other perfect match. And it's not just as an individual level, because that's something, it's in the name, it's associates, it's not association. But of course, also, we all have some affiliations. We are affiliated with some of the most exciting companies on this planet. And these companies might want to be part of something exciting like that. So you as a company can actually join as well. And similar to the individuals, we're going to help you to introduce you to each other as a company or as a company-wide level. And there are going to be a lot of interesting perks in the future as well. I'm very happy to tell you about in case you're interested. Let's go to the consultancy. For the consultancy, it's kind of in the name again. We really want to bring together the best teams for the most challenging problems on this planet. And similar to what has been said yesterday, it's, now actually I'm seeing already people signing up. Well done you. I hope it doesn't distract too much. So essentially, I will just close that, to be honest. Sorry for that. Okay. So essentially for the consultancy, what we have seen in the last, since Friday, so we put this event online on Friday, over 700 people registered, right? So what this means, there's a great appetite for meeting each other and doing things together and to really create these synergies many people have been talking about in the past. And what we really want to do is we want to create meaningful projects where we get together as a community and try to tackle these problems other people were too scared to tackle in the past. And why this might been is because if you're a battery expert, even though my friends might say, Simon, you did a PhD in batteries, lithium-ion batteries, to be honest, it's probably a very small aspect you actually really know about perfectly. And we need strong friends, we need good collaborators, good partners to really help us to understand the full picture and to really solve these really big issues, which are maybe not just one-sided, not just one small component of the battery, but really on a system level, all of the different components, similar to what we have seen yesterday at the announcement from Tesla. And I can already mention that it's super exciting because currently I'm in the run for quite a few interesting projects, and these projects really range from NGOs, governments, really exciting companies. So I think what is so exciting about this is going to have a really diverse set of problems. And one thing we have learned since we started this, there are many, many problems to solve. And on the other hand, there are many, many really smart people who are keen to solve problems and want to bring the planet forward. So we really hope we can help here to facilitate that in the future. And one thing I also want to mention is if you are, for example, a PhD or postdoc or just starting out in your career, I know how hard this can be. You might have some idea from the academic side, you have done really well at your exams and your classes, but what does actually happen in the real world? And one thing to realize is probably that this is often quite different. So one thing we also want to provide with that is we want to help people to understand industry problems better. And how we define industry here is real world problems, things which are to be solved right now through innovation, through products, etc. Okay, so once we have done these projects, there's going to be the last component of that. For the recruiting bit, this is kind of where it all comes together as well to some degree, because one thing we also heard yesterday again is Tesla seemed quite keen on getting lots of people. And I think it's not a secret that there are going to be a lot of people needed for the Gigafactory in Berlin. And that's just one company, right? So we know right now, I think the ID.4 or Volkswagen going to be announced. We know there are other players like Northvolt. We have a lot of them here today as well. We have lots of other races and CATL and lots of different players now in Europe. And who are going to do their work? I mean, on the one hand, of course, we can think there's going to be a lot of automation. We have seen this yesterday. Automation is key to really speed things up. But you can't do everything through robots in the end. So you really need strong people, smart people doing the legwork. So our vision here really is to help on this aspect, to really support the industry, to identify these incredible people, but also support them on their journey. And how we envision this again, and this is maybe again from like a personal story, and you might can already guess, a lot of these kind of motivations for these different aspects come from a personal motivation and motivation of many of my friends and the team. And this is when you kind of finish your PhD or your degree, etc., and you want to enter, often you really feel you're lacking a lot of insights. You're lacking insights on how does industry work, how do you apply, but even down to how to actually negotiate your salary or how to read a contract. And what we really want to do is here to help our people, like every member who's interested, to understand that and really help them on this journey. To, on the one hand, help them to find the most exciting and challenging and rewarding work there is in the industry, but at the same time also make sure that they have a really good experience, so meaning earning a really fair salary, which is similar to what should be there. And furthermore, also we can also know that the contracts are ready and solid for what we want to do. Okay, so for now, we actually want to do a quick thing. I think one thing we realize is doing online conferences is it's quite boring to listen to one single person for a long time. So what I would like you to suggest right now is to do a small networking break. And it's going to be about 10 minutes, and we're going to call you back. Don't worry about this, back to the stage. And so for doing this, you can go on the left side on your screen. Right now, you see something on live for the stage. And there's something beneath the session, something we'll come to later. And then there's something called networking. And if you just want to go there and click on that one, you actually can do kind of like a chat roulette where you have about, I don't know, 30 seconds and up to 2 minutes, I think, or 3 minutes to talk to one of you guys. And why I want to really highlight this is because, as I mentioned, we have people from kind of any company I could ever dream of. We have people from Tesla, Volkswagen, Northvolt, BASF, ABB, IBM, Panasonic, Samsung, LG Chem, etc., etc. And a lot of really cool startups as well, from Lilium, etc. And So for now, please just go there for a few minutes and I'm going to come back and we're going to call you back shortly. Thank you so much and talk to you soon.